Then all of you type attendance. Okay. Then I think we have completed our 4th lesson. Today we are going to start our 5th lesson. You know what's the name of our 5th lesson? It's data handling. Sit. We are going to study about data handling. I think you are in your previous classes you have learned about data, bar diagram, picture diagram, and so on. Okay. And did you remember what's a double bar diagram? Did you remember what's a double bar diagram? For example, I'm just sharing a picture.
Mr.
This is an example of Sridev.
കേൾക്കുന്നുണ്ടോ?
Yes.
മിസ്റ്റർ ശ്രേയക്ക് ക്ലാസ് കയറാൻ പറ്റില്ല എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞു. അപ്പോൾ എനിക്ക്
Okay. 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 Then this is the example of a graph with the which kind of graph is this? Which kind of graph is this? Bar diagram or bar graph, is it?
Bar, yes.
Okay. Then here we have a bar graph given for us. That is, from this we have some questions. What is the information given by the bar graph? Here, along horizontally, academic years are given, and vertically, number of students in class 8 is given. Then what is the data? Here, the number of students in class 8 in each academic years. Is it? This is the data given for us in this graph. So next question, in which year the increase in the number of students is maximum? In which year the increase in number of students maximum?
2007 to 2008.
Yes, 2007 to 2008. And what about in which year the number of students maximum? What is the difference between these two questions? What is the difference between these two questions? First question, in which year the increase in the number of students in maximum? The second question is, in which year the number of students in maximum? The number of students is maximum in the year 2007 to 8. What was the difference between the increase is maximum? The answer to the question, number of the year in which the number of students is maximum is 2007 to 2008. And we have to check in which year the increase in the number of students is maximum. Look at the difference between each of the graphs or the adjacent graphs, adjacent bars. Which one is the greatest increase or the maximum increase? You can see in academic year 2003 to 4, there is only 100 students, is it? But in 2004 to 5, it became 200 students. There is a maximum increase. So, which is the, in which year the increase in the number of students maximum? 2004 to 2005. Okay, the maximum increase, not the maximum students. Maximum increase happened in the year 2004 to 2005. But you can look at the 2005 to 2006. What is the number of students in 2005 to 2006? It is 250. And about 2006 to 2007, it's about 300. And in 2007 to 2008, it's about 350. There is only an increase of 50 students in each year. But in the case of 2004 to 2005, there is an increase of 100 students. That's why the maximum increase happened in the year 2004 to 2005. All of you please turn on a video. Okay, did you get the idea? This is a bar graph. Similarly, we have studied about double bar or double bar graph. This is an example given for you in your textbook for double bar graph. Horizontally, we have represented some subjects: math, social science, science, English, and Hindi. And vertically, we have represented marks obtained by the student. Is it? Then what is the information given by the double bar graph? What is the information given by the double bar graph? The marks obtained by a student in different subjects. Is it? The information given by the graph is the mark obtained by the students in different subjects. That is math, science, social science, English, and Hindi. So our graph represents the information about the marks obtained by a student in different subjects. And next question, in which subject has the performance improved the most? In which subject the performance improved the most? Here is some 2 academic years we have considered, that is 2005 to 2006 and 2006 to 2007. In 2005 to 2006, what is the mark obtained by the student for maths? What's it? What is it? The mark obtained by the student for the subject maths. Look at here, it's 30. Is it?
30.
Then what about 2006 to 2007? It became 60. In 2005 to 2006, it was 30, and in 2006 to 7, it became 60. And what about science? What about science? In 2006 to 2005 to 2006, the mark obtained by the student in social science was about 50
students.
And
50.
2006 to 7, it became about 55.
55.
Similarly, what about science? For the subject science, the mark obtained by the student for the academic year 2005 to 6 may be 45, and in 2006 to 7, it became 50, and so on. Then look at the graph and you just say the answer. In which subject has the performance improved the most? In which
Hindi.
subject the performance has improved the most?
Hindi.
Hindi.
Maths.
Is it maths?
Hindi.
How will you say it?
Hindi.
Look at there. For the subject Hindi, in the academic year 2005 to 6, what is the mark obtained by the student?
60.
It is about 60 or 55, and it remains the same for the academic year 2006 to 7. There is no increase or no decrease. For those years, there is no change in the marks obtained by the students. But our question was, in which year or in which subject has the performance improved the most? Improvement means?
Science.
There is an increase in the mark. So we have to find the most improved subject. So which one is the most improved subject here?
Maths.
Maths. Because in 2005 to 6, the mark obtained by the student was 30. But in the 2006 to 7, it becomes 60. So there is a huge increase in the, or huge improvement. We can say it as either increase or improvement. Okay. Is it clear?
Okay. Yes.
Okay. Then, in which subject has the performance deteriorated? The deteriorated എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ എന്താ meaning? That means decreased.
What?
Decreased itself. Okay. Then which is the subject whose performance decreased?
English.
That's English. Okay. Then the third question. Sorry, the fourth question. In which subject the performance at par? That means there is no change. Which is that?
Hindi.
Hindi. So you know that how to analyze a graph and how to answer the questions corresponding to graphs by analyzing them. Is it? I think you are all familiar with double bar graphs, and also in your textbook page number 69, that is the starting of our chapter data handling. You can see there is a pictograph given for you. That is pictorial representation of data using symbols. Pictorial representation of data using symbols. That is, what was that? The production of cars for each month. July, August and September is given as in a pictograph. These are the three types of graphs you have studied in your previous classes. Pictographs, bar graphs and double bar graphs. Okay, did you remember them?
Miss,
Yes.
ഈ ചാപ്റ്ററിന് ഗ്രാഫ് ബുക്ക് വേണോ?
No need to buy a graph book. In this chapter, we are going to draw bars with a difference and the pie graph or the circle graph or pie chart. No need to buy a graph book. I think you need to draw it in the notebook itself. Just draw it in your notebook itself. Okay. Okay. Then, what do you mean by a data? What do you mean by a data?
Yes.
Data is a type of an information, is it?
Information collected.
Okay, it's an information. Data are some information. Okay, after collecting information, how will you represent this data into a graphical format? First of all, we have to organize them. Is it? After collecting the information or collecting the data, first of all, we have to organize the data. How will you organize the data? Here in your textbook page number 71, we have the section 5.2, organizing data. Okay, in which we have a question given for us. A group of students were asked for their favorite subject. The results were as listed below. A group of students was asked for their favorite subject. And the results were listed below. What is the results given for us? Art, mathematics, science, English, mathematics, art, English, mathematics, English, art, science, science, mathematics, art, English, art, science, mathematics, science, art. This is the result we have get. That means this is the information or this is the information or this is the data. What's our data? The favorite subjects of some students. That's given for us. And how will you organize this data? How will you organize this data? You know how to draw a table and mark the tally point or the tally mark according to the given data. Is it? So we are now going to draw a table for this data. That is, first one is subject. What's the first column? First column may be of subject. First column may be of
Is it
subject.
notebook varakano, sir?
Yes.
Notebook notebook varakano, sir?
No, you can see it in your textbook page number 72 itself. The table is also given in your textbook. Okay, here is a table we have to draw, that is in which we have to represent the data into tally format. And the first column, what is our first column? Subject. First column become subject. And the second column, we have to mark the tally. Tally mark. And in third column, number of students. Number of students. This is the three columns. Then, which are the subjects given for us? Which are the subjects given for us? First one is art. And second one, mathematics or maths.
Mathematics,
Then science.
science, English.
Science and English. Just a second. Maths, science and English. Science and English. These are the subjects given for us. Then after that, we have to mark the tally points or the tally marks. Look at your data. How many times art is present there? How many times? Count the number of times art is given there. How many times? According to the number of times, we just have to mark
Seven.
one
Seven.
tally mark. How many times one is present there? First of all, for drawing 5, we have to draw like this, and after that we have to mark 2 more tally points. Then how many number of students are there who likes arts, are their
7.
favorite subjects?
7.
7. Then what about maths? What about
Oh,
maths? How many
5.
times maths is present there?
5.
5 times. So we can mark the tally mark as 5 times. So the number of students who likes maths is equal to 5. And what about science? What about science? How many students choose science as their favorite subject?
6.
6 students. So we can mark it like this. So the number of students chosen science as their favorite subject is 6. Then what about English?
4.
There are only
4.
4 students. Okay. Then we have constructed a table using our given information or given data. Then the number of students. We have written the number of students here. This is known as the frequency for that subject. Frequency for that subject. Then what is the frequency of art? What is the frequency of art? This number of students represents the frequency. Then what is the frequency for the subject art? Look at the third column, the number of students. How many students chosen art are their favorite subject? Am I audible?
7.
Okay, it is 7. That is, the frequency means how many times that information, that's observation repeating or occurs. Here you can look at your data that there are 7 times art occurs 7 times. That's why we have marked 7 tally marks. So the number of students is equal to 7. That's why we can say that the frequency of the subject art is equal to 7. Then what is the frequency? Frequency gives the number of times that a particular entry occurs. Frequency gives the number of times that a particular entry occurs. ഒരു എൻട്രി എത്ര പ്രാവശ്യം ഒക്കർ ചെയ്യുന്നുണ്ട് എന്നുള്ളതിനെയാണ് നമ്മൾ അതിന്റെ ഫ്രീക്വൻസി എന്ന് പറയാം. ഓക്കെ ആണോ? That's known as frequency. Then this table can be called as frequency distribution table. So this table can be called as frequency distribution table. So what's that frequency distribution table? A table which shows the frequency of each observation. All of you please turn on a video. Diya, Alan, Sridev. So in this table, we can say that the frequency of art is equal to, or the frequency of the observation art is equal to 7. The frequency of the subject maths is equal to 5. The frequency of the subject science is equal to 6. And the frequency of the subject English is equal to 4. So such a table is known as frequency distribution table. Okay. Is it clear, the frequency distribution table? And then you can see in your textbook page number 72, there is a try this box for you. A group of students were asked to say which animal they would like most to have as a pet. The results are given below. What was our data? Group of students were asked to say which animal they would like most to have a pet. And the results are given below. Make a frequency distribution table for the same. Can you make a frequency distribution table for this data? Can you make a frequency distribution table for this data? Okay, how will you make a frequency distribution table for this data? First of all, we have to list the names of our pets. Which are the names of pets given here? Dog, cat, fish, rabbit. Okay, dog, cat, fish, and rabbit. Is it?
Miss, cow also.
Yes.
Cow also.
Okay. Then after that, we have to make the tally marks. And from the tally mark, we can choose the number of students. And after that, we can say that frequency of each pet. And this is known as the frequency distribution table. And I think you have to draw it in your rough book before our next hour. That is 12:15th hour. Okay. You just try to draw a frequency distribution table of the given data. And the next session, grouping data. What do you mean by a group? What do you mean by a group or grouping? We have to make groups. Here we have to make groups of data. That is, we have to group our data. For that, for example given for you, art is liked by 7 students, mathematics is liked by 5 students, and so on. Table 5.1, that is our first table. That is, in this table, art is liked by 7 students, maths is liked by 5 students, science is liked by 6 students, English is liked by 5 students, and so on. This information can be displayed graphically using a pictograph or a bar graph. This can be drawn in a graphical form, either in pictograph or in bar graph, and so on. Okay. Then, however, we have to deal with large data. This is very small data. What we have to do in the case of a large data? For example, consider the following marks out of 50 obtained in mathematics by 60 students of class 8. Here we have a large data given for us. Which is our data? The mark obtained by 60 students. The mark is out of 50, and the marks of 60 students in the subject mathematics is given for us. In this case, How many students are there in the case of our first table? Only a few number of students are there. But in this case, marks are given out of 50 and there are 60 students. Okay, so in this case, it is something difficult to represent this as like in the frequency distribution table. For that, first of all, we are going to group our data. So, grouping our data become a slight change in our distribution table or the frequency distribution table. You can see in your textbook that which are the data given for us 20, 21, 30, 10, 30, 22, 33 and so on up to 22, 70. There is a 60 data given for us. In this case, we are just going to draw a frequency distribution table in like a way such that in first column we are making a group. In first column we are just making a group. In that group we are selecting students who have acquired marks in between 0 and 10. And in the second group, we are grouping the students obtain the mark 10 to 20 and then 20 to 30, 30 to 40, 50 to 60. These are the groups we have obtained. That is, we have grouped our data into 6 groups. Which are our groups? In first column, we have just grouped our data. In first column, we have just grouped our data. Which is our first group? First group is 0 to 10. And in our second group, it becomes 10 to 20. 10 to 20. And then 20 to 30. 20 to 30. And then 30 to 40. 30 to 40. And then 40 to 50. And 50 to 60. These are the groups we have made. How will you make this group or how will you make this data into a group? Because here the data, how many data are given or how many observations we have here? We have 60 observations. This is such a large number of observations. So, reducing the complexity while dealing with large number of observations, we have just grouped our data. We have just grouped our data. Then how many students acquired marks between 0 and 10? You just look at your observation. That is 60 observations are given for us. Then in between that 60, how many students acquired the marks in between 0 and 10? 0 and 10. There is a 7 mark and there is a 10 mark, is it? These are the, 10 is not including in 0 to 10. We are just including 0 to 9 in the group 0 to 10. 10 is considering in the group of 10 to 20. Okay. You just remind that one thing that in the group 0 to 10, we are not considering the students who have acquired the mark 10. In the group of 0 to 10, we are only considering the students having marks below 10. Below 10 means 0 to 9. How many students acquired the marks 0 to 9? I think there is a 5 mark and a 7 mark in your observation that you can see in your textbook page number 72. There is a 60 observation given for us. Among the 60 observation, we can see that there is only 2 observations that lies in between 0 and 10. That is 5 and 7. So we can mark how many tallies here? How many tallies we have to mark here? How many tallies we have to mark here? As we know, only 2 students acquired in between 0 and 10. That's why we have to mark 2 tally marks here. Then the frequency of the group 0 to 10 is equal to 2. Is it clear?
Miss, no, Miss, frequency true vanu.
How many tally marks are here?
2.
2. That's why the frequency is 2.
Okay.
You have to watch our YouTube class. I think you are late in our class, is it?
Yes, Miss.
Okay. Then look at the group 10 to 20. How many students acquired the marks in between 10 to 20? You can include the 10 also. That is, how many 10s are there and how many marks are there in between 10 and 20? You can see there is 10, 12, 15, 18, 19, and again 10, 16, 18, 7, so not 7, it is 16 and 17. How many tally marks we have to mark here? I think there are 10. There are 10 students who acquired in the mark between 10 to 20. So we have to mark 10 tally marks here. How will you mark 10 as a tally? How will you mark? We just have to cross it. We just have to cross it. So we can write the frequency of the group 10 to 20 as 10. Okay. Then similarly, how many students acquired the marks in between 20 to 30? How many students acquired mark in between 20 to 30? You just count the number.
21.
It is 21. So we have to mark tally mark according to 21. So I'm just moving to our frequency column because we have there is only small space. So what's our frequency here? What's our frequency here?
21.
Frequency is equal to 21.
21.
What about the group 30 and 40? In the group 30 and 40?
19.
There are 19 students who acquired the mark in between 30 and 40. So we can mark the tally as, we have to mark 19 tallies. We have to mark 19 tallies. And again, the frequency become
90.
90. So the frequency of the group 30 to 40 is 90. Similarly, what about the group 40 to 50?
Miss,
40 to 50. There are only 7 students who acquired in between 40 to 50. That's why we have to mark 7
Miss-
tallies here. Yes?
last line vendo. 19 allo.
Okay, it's 19. I'm sorry. It's 19. Okay. Then in group 40 to 50, we know that there is only 7 students. That's why we can draw it as 5 and 2. So the frequency becomes 7. And what about the last group, 50 to 60? How many students acquired the mark in between 50 to 60? 1. Only 1 student, is it? That's why we can mark the tally as like this, and the frequency is 1 itself. Okay. So this is the grouping of data. Is it clear, the grouping of data?
Miss,
Yes. Sean.
Miss, ആ tally mark എങ്ങനെയാ കണ്ടുപിടിക്കുക?
You just look at your observation and count how many times the group is there, or in between how many elements are there in between? In the first case, our group is 0 to 10. So by looking at your observation, you just count how many marks are or how many observations are there in between 0 and 10. You just avoid the point 10. You can include 10 in the group 10 to 20. So the group 0 to 10 means the mark in between 0 to 9. 0 and 9 are included. Yes.
Miss, questionil ഇതുപോലെ numbers എടുത്തിട്ട് അത് count ചെയ്തിട്ടാണ് എങ്ങനെ ചെയ്യേണ്ടത്?
Yes. We have given a data and we have to count how many number of observations are present in between the group. Okay, look, you can look at your data, that is in the group 0 to 10 we know that only 2 students are there. Which are the observation in between 0 and 10? 5 and 7. There is only 1 5 and 1 7 is present in between our 0 and 10. That's why the tally marks are 2 or the frequency is 2. Similarly, you can look at the 10 to 20 group. 10 to 20 group, we can include the mark 10 also. That is the mark 10 to 19. We have to count how many observations are there in between 10 to 19. By counting them, we can see it as 10. That is, first one is 10 and the second one is 12, third one is 15, fourth one is 18, fifth one is 19. And again, sixth one is 18, seventh one is 16 again, and the eighth one is 10, and then at last it is 16 and 17. So how many observations are there? How many observations are there? 10 observations. So we can mark 10 tally marks there. So the corresponding frequency is 10. Okay, is it clear? Similarly, we can count how many observations are there in between 20 and 30. For finding that value, you just look at your observation and count how many numbers are there in between 20 and 30. 30 is not included, that is in between 20 and 29. Okay, similarly, we can find the number of observations, and according to the number of observations, we can mark the tally, and hence we can write the frequency. Okay. Okay. Then this is called the grouped frequency distribution. What is this called? This is the grouped frequency distribution. In our first case, we have discussed about frequency distribution, and here we are saying the grouped frequency distribution. We are using the grouped frequency distribution in the case of large number of observations are given. In this case, as we know, 60 observations are given. So it's something difficult to mark in a frequency table or frequency distribution table. So in such cases, we are drawing grouped frequency distribution. Okay. We are just grouping the